We see a management that is absolutely obsessed with performance targets, because that's directly related to their performance pay and their career progression. And so staff get more disillusioned, they're working harder and harder, and they forget what they're there for, which is patients. And the system is rotten, absolutely rotten.
The internal market in the NHS replaced a system that was cheap, simple and successful. The previous medical leadership and a patient-centred ethos. Now, managers, not nurses and doctors, call the shots. The whole concept and the implementation of the internal market was and is required for full privatisation and the takeover by US corporations to work.
Would the creation of a market in the NHS have happened without Margaret Thatcher?
It's absolutely where the narrative of the last 25 years begins.
I think one of the most fascinating things about Thatcherism is the way it affected the Labour Party. And actually Margaret Thatcher herself said her greatest achievement in politics was Tony Blair and New Labour.
He made a few public speeches on how the internal market was such a waste of money and time. However, once he got into power, he grabbed the internal market with both hands and made it well established within the NHS.
And in fact, got away with it, got away with what the Conservatives wouldn't have done because they were labelled the Labour Party.
We no longer have a national health service here. We no longer have a Secretary of State for Health who can be totally held to account for failures in clinical care. We're increasingly moving down an Americanisation of our healthcare.
Their healthcare costs about twice as much as other developed countries, and their health outcomes are markedly inferior. In fact, they managed to achieve worse life expectancy and worse infant mortality than some of the Eastern European countries, who are managing to turn in superior performance for a sixth or an eighth as much money as the US spends on its system.
A fifth of the patients in America have no cover at all. And this would be a disaster for the old and poor.
It's saturated, they can't take any more out of the US, so they have to diversify and they have to find new niche markets, which is why the NHS is such a trophy for them. Because if they can break open and succeed in breaking open the NHS to the marketplace, then because the NHS was the model maker for 60 years, it means that other countries are much more likely to follow suit. Oh, look what's happening in England, we will follow suit.
You're not simply marching to an emotional drum.
Well, right at the heart of everything myself and other people opposing the legislation want to do and put at the heart of it is patient care. And you cannot do your best for patients in a market-driven, private providing healthcare system.
The way I thought about how insane this all was is to introduce a similar system within your own household, whereby you have parents and children setting up a system of fees and charges. So each time mother does something for the family, she will charge the husband and the children, let's say, for making a meal. The husband might charge the rest of the family each time he does some DIY or gardening. Equally, the children start charging the parents each time they show them some affection or they make them proud of being their parents. Mother might charge the children for taking them to school. But of course, to have such a system in place, you're going to need at least a manager, maybe an accountant, maybe 2 or 3 administrators, to make sure the fees are set in an appropriate manner, to make sure the charges are paid, to send people reminders. At the end of all that, you end up with a reduced household budget, and you've wasted 10-15% of what you could spend on the family. And I thought, this is what's happening in the NHS. I want to see the internal market got rid of completely, unless somebody can prove me otherwise that this is of benefit to delivering healthcare.
Doctors, I'm sure, coming on this film will be thought to be Luddites and protecting their jobs. But in fact, doctors love change. Doctors lead change. If you go back from vaccination to antibiotics, to diagnostics, to vacay surgery. If, for instance, a radiologist doctor put the wire into his own heart before it was trialled on a patient to lead the change into interventional radiology. But it has to be evidence-based and prove that it's clinically of benefit to the patient.